Welcome back to Under Baobab Skies. Tonight, we journey deep into the vast, shimmering expanse of the Nubian desert, to delve into the lives of the camel herders, those solitary guardians of the golden sands. Imagine a world where the sun stretches endlessly over dunes, its heat kissing every grain of sand, turning the horizon into a shimmer of molten light. Here, survival isn't measured in hours or minutes, but in the patience of the eye, the endurance of the body, and the whisper of a wind that carries secrets of travelers past. Across this immense landscape, camels, patient and enduring, traverse the arid plains. They are guided by herders who know every ripple of sand, every hidden oasis, and every night when the stars speak in a language older than memory itself. These men and women are the keepers of ancient pathways, their lives interwoven with the very fabric of the desert. These herders are not merely caretakers of beasts. They are custodians of rhythm and time. Their existence is a delicate dance with the elements. Each day begins long before the first hint of dawn, when the chill of the desert night still lingers in the air. The first task is to check on the camels, their most prized companions and their key to survival. Every step they take, every soft-spoken command to a camel, is an act of careful calculation. They must perpetually balance resources, food, precious water, and the strength of both human and animal against the unforgiving demands of the journey ahead. Let's pause here for a moment, just as they would. Imagine the day's heat fading, the fire crackling softly, its flames casting dancing shadows. We rest beneath a canopy of stars so bright they seem within arm's reach. This is the heart of their world, a moment of peace and reflection in the great, silent wilderness. The desert, you see, is a profound teacher of silence and patience. For centuries, Nubian herders have listened intently to its lessons. It's a language not of words, but of signs. The wind, for instance, carries warnings of approaching sandstorms, its tone shifting from a gentle caress to a menacing howl. The shadows at dusk don't just mark the end of the day. They guide the herders to sources of water that may not glimmer under the blazing sun. The desert's voice is subtler, sudden shift in temperature, a peculiar ripple on the surface of the sand, the way a camel instinctively lowers its head to drink. To ignore these signs, even for a moment, is to risk life itself. Their survival depends on this deep, intuitive connection to the world around them. Through these vast and unforgiving lands, camel caravans became the lifelines of civilization. They were the arteries of commerce, carrying essential goods like salt, fragrant dates, and traded treasures across regions that would otherwise remain utterly isolated. These herders, with their intimate knowledge, were the navigators of this sand sea. Their wisdom wasn't written in books. It was an oral tradition, passed from father to son, from mother to daughter. Each gesture, each story told around the campfire, was a chapter in a grand saga of survival. Their tools were deceptively simple: a sturdy rope, a well-worn staff, supple water skins, and an instinct honed over countless generations. Yet, with these humble tools, they shaped empires, sustained critical trade routes, and ensured that people and their precious animals moved through the sands with minimal loss, guided by a wisdom as deep as the desert is wide. Now, let us move slowly, respectfully, into the heart of the herder's world. To them, the desert is more than a backdrop. It is a living, breathing companion. The days are a trial by fire, but the nights bring a different challenge. They are cold, and the wind whispers across the dunes like wandering spirits, carrying tales from ages past. Campfires become more than just a source of heat. They become islands of warmth, light, and life in the immense darkness. Around these fires, stories are shared stories that echo into the night, binding the community together. Under the burning sky and the brilliant stars, the desert itself seems to sing tales of resilience. These are stories of patience, of enduring both sun and storm, and of the quiet, unbreakable bond forged between a person and their camel, a partnership built on mutual respect and dependence. As we conclude this introduction, I hope you can begin to feel the rhythm of the desert, the profound weight of the sun, and the silent majesty of a herding life that has shaped both this incredible land and the legends that have sprung from it. Stay with us, as the story is only just beginning. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you feel a connection to these stories, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales from our remarkable world. Your support allows us to continue sharing them. You are now under baobab skies, and the story begins now. Welcome back. We journey deep into the heart of the Nubian desert, a landscape that is both a cradle of life and a crucible of endurance. By the end of our time together, you'll understand why the life of a Nubian camel herder demanded a quiet courage and a profound patience that seems almost beyond ordinary measure. Imagine this: the day begins long before the sun's first light touches the horizon. While the world is still draped in shadow and the desert air is heavy with a biting chill, the herders rise. Their first task is to rouse the camels, magnificent creatures whose patience is as legendary as their stubbornness. This is a delicate process. A single misplaced rope, a misjudged call, and the entire morning can be thrown into chaos. In a place where the desert itself seems ready to punish the smallest mistake, precision is paramount. Water, the lifeblood of the desert, is a constant, pressing concern. Wells can be miles apart, hidden by shifting dunes or the shimmering mirage of heat. A herder's knowledge of these secret sources is his most valuable asset. They ration what they have with meticulous care, understanding that a camel's thirst is as unforgiving as the desert sun. For both man and beast, every drop is precious, a promise of another day's journey. As the sun climbs higher, the relentless heat of midday descends. It's a physical assault. Skin burns under the merciless glare, and the wind, far from offering relief, carries sand like 1,000 tiny knives, stinging unprotected eyes and chapped lips. Every step becomes a calculated effort. Camels, despite their adaptation, can sink slowly into soft dunes or stumble, forcing the herder to intervene, to guide and coax them forward. There is no respite, no shade to be found, except for the rare acacia grove or a cluster of rocky outcrops that offers a brief pocket of shadow. To survive, the herder must know the land as an extension of his own body. He carries a map in his mind, a living atlas of hidden pools, of dunes that shift fastest in the wind, and of paths that conserve precious energy for both himself and his animals. This isn't just navigation, it's a deep, intuitive dialogue with the environment. In the old days, and even now, this wisdom is not learned from books. It's passed down through direct experience. Young apprentices accompany their elders, learning through quiet observation, endless repetition, and the stories told around the fire. They memorize the subtle cues of the camels, a nervous flick of the tail, a low, guttural grunt, a stubborn, unmoving pause. Each of these signals is a piece of a complex language that can mean the difference between life and death in the vast, silent expanse of the desert. Mistakes are harsh, unforgettable teachers. A camel that wanders off and becomes lost may be gone forever, a devastating loss for the herder. A misread ripple in the sand could hide a treacherous pitfall. A forgotten ration of water or feed can weaken the strongest of animals, jeopardizing the entire caravan. The desert does not forgive carelessness. The herder's life is a masterful choreography of survival, a continuous dance with the elements. From the first light of dawn to the last glimmer of dusk, he is a manager, a navigator, and a guardian. He manages food and water, navigates the ever-shifting dunes, and anticipates the moods of both his animals and the fickle weather. Even sleep is a luxury, often stolen in short, vigilant intervals. The desert nights are a stark contrast to the days, bitterly cold and unforgiving. The wind cuts through even-layered blankets, a constant, chilling whisper. The herder must remain alert for predators like jackals or, in some areas, thieves who might try to steal his valuable camels. And the camels themselves, though incredibly sturdy, are not mere beasts of burden. They are individuals with their own needs and personalities. Some are prone to wander, drawn by some unseen call. Others will rebel, planting their feet and refusing to move. A herder's skill is truly measured in his patience and his foresight, in his ability to act calmly and decisively, and in the deep, unspoken respect he has earned from his charges. Over time, this bond becomes one of mutual trust. Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine the scene. The fire crackles softly, its small light pushing back the immense darkness. We rest beneath a blanket of stars, clearer and brighter than you can imagine, and listen to the silence of the desert. This life, though lived in isolation, is not a lonely one. Herders form a silent brotherhood, a close-knit network of knowledge passed down through generations. When they cross paths at a well or a rare oasis, advice is exchanged in hushed, reverent tones over shared waterskins. Warnings about approaching sandstorms or newly discovered routes are whispered with the gravity of sacred truths. Despite the vast distances that separate them, these herders belong to a single community, one connected by shared experience and the subtle, rhythmic pulse of the desert. Their history isn't written on parchment. It's an oral tradition, a collection of stories about past heroes, lost caravans, and miraculous survivals, carried from one herder to another on the wind and held in collective memory. The work is undeniably grueling, yet within it there is a profound rhythm. The sun rises, casting long shadows. The wind shifts, reshaping the dunes. The camels move, their soft footfalls a steady beat against the sand. Every single day is a test of skill, of endurance, and of keen observation. And every night is a form of meditation, a time for patience, for listening to the desert breathe, and for understanding a fundamental truth. Survival here is not merely about the strength of the body, but about the resilience of the mind and the spirit. The herder learns to read the sky, to predict the storm from a change in the air. He learns to respect the land, taking only what is needed. Most importantly, he learns to honor the creatures under his care. They are not his property. They are his partners in this journey, his teachers in the art of endurance, and his silent companions in the profound solitude of the sands. In this way, the Nubian camel herder comes to embody the very essence of the desert itself, enduring, patient, quiet, and deeply wise. Each day teaches humility, stripping away arrogance and ego. Each night instills reflection, offering clarity under the stars. And every step taken across the endless sands is a story of survival, of tradition, and of a life lived in perfect, challenging harmony with the natural world, a story waiting to be told. As the sun climbs high over the endless dunes, the desert transforms into a sea of heat, shimmering like liquid gold. The air itself seems to vibrate, a visible testament to the sun's power. Through this mirage, the camels plod steadily onward, their large, padded feet pressing into sand that has been softened by the morning's warmth. They move with an ancient, unhurried grace, a fleet of living ships navigating a golden ocean. Among them, the Nubian herders move in a silent, practiced rhythm. It's a choreography perfected not in a studio, but over decades spent under this very sun. Every hand on a rope, every eye scanning the distant, hazy horizon is part of a quiet language. It's a language of gestures and intuition, one understood only by those who have walked these sands countless times, whose lives are intertwined with the pulse of the desert. The desert is a stern but patient teacher. Its first and most profound lesson is patience itself. Here, herders learn to communicate without words, to speak a language of nuance and shared understanding. A gentle tap on a camel's flank to guide it, a subtle shift of weight in the saddle, a nod toward a distant ridge. These are the signals that carry messages across the shifting sands. The companionship between these men isn't loud or boisterous. It is measured, deliberate, and absolutely essential. In the overwhelming stillness of this vast landscape, survival is found not in shouting commands, but in the quiet confidence of shared understanding. When the midday heat becomes nearly unbearable, a pause is not a luxury. It's a necessity. The herders, guided by an internal map passed down through generations, gather at known wells or hidden oases. These small pockets of life are sacred spaces in the relentless march of time. Here, water is far more than just a liquid to quench thirst. It is life, community, and a moment of shared relief. Clay pots, cool to the touch, are passed from hand to hand. As each man drinks, he is reminded that his survival is tied to the person next to him and the person after that. This simple act of sharing water forges a bond stronger than steel. Food, though sparse, is always shared in equal portions. A piece of flatbread or a handful of dried dates becomes a symbol of solidarity, each bite reinforcing the trust required to thrive in a land that offers little mercy on its own. Under the sun's intense glare, stories are exchanged in soft, whispered tones. These aren't just idle tales. They are vital pieces of a collective memory, a living library of desert wisdom. A herder might recount the story of a camel lost and miraculously found during a sandstorm, or a near-fatal encounter with a desert predator. Another might share a clever trick for finding hidden water sources, a secret learned from his own grandfather. The herders' voices rise and fall like the dunes themselves, quiet but persistent. Laughter might bubble up occasionally, a brief, bright sound that the desert seems to absorb, returning only the echo of human resilience. For the Nubian herders, apprenticeship begins in childhood. A young boy learns the ways of the desert long before he can confidently ride a camel without faltering. He is taught to read the subtle signs of the landscape, the faint footprints of a stray camel across shifting sands, the whisper of the wind that might signal a coming storm, the feeling in the air that hints at danger before it arrives. These lessons are never written down in books. They are demonstrated, lived, and absorbed. The older men teach through action. They show the youngsters how to untangle complex knots in the ropes, with deft fingers, how to recognize the signs of sickness in an animal and how to tend to it, and the crucial art of rationing water during a multi-day trek where every drop is precious. This knowledge isn't stored on a hard drive. It's etched into memory and muscle, into hands that know the feel of a rope as intimately as they know the curve of a camel's hump. As the day stretches on, a deep fatigue begins to seep into their bones. Yet, the rhythm persists, unbroken. A herder's eyes, dark and shadowed from long hours squinting into the sun, are constantly scanning the horizon. They are a living radar, always alert. The camels, too, seem to move as one cohesive unit, guided by a combination of their own instincts and the subtle, almost invisible, signals from their human companions. The entire group, men and animals, functions as a single organism, breathing and shifting in time with the desert's ancient pulse. If one herder falters, another instinctively adjusts to support him. If a rope slackens, a hand is there to steady it. When a camel struggles or shows signs of distress, the men rally quietly. Their actions a perfect balance of compassionate care and practiced efficiency. It is in these moments of shared hardship, in the sweat and patience of a long day's journey, that their bonds are truly forged. The desert nights bring their own quiet lessons and a welcome respite from the sun's glare. Around small, crackling fires, the stories continue. The flames dance across faces lined by sun and wind, illuminating expressions of focus and camaraderie. Tales of past treks, encounters with other caravans, and whispered advice on navigating dunes that shift like waves in the night fill the cool air. The apprentices listen intently, absorbing every detail. Tomorrow, their survival might depend on remembering the location of a well-hidden spring or recognizing a subtle change in the texture of the sand. The elders' voices are calm and melodic, almost hypnotic, carrying not just instructions, but the very rhythm of survival itself. Through this endless cycle of repetition, the herders develop a profound intimacy with their environment. They come to understand the symphony of the desert, the sound of camels breathing in unison, the specific way sand shifts and whispers with the wind, the subtle shadows that can indicate an approaching predator or a change in terrain. Each day reinforces the silent brotherhood, where shared hardships bind men together more strongly than words ever could. They communicate with glances and gestures, and in this quiet communion, their resilience deepens, becoming as vast and enduring as the desert itself. Water, always, is the central symbol of life. At the end of a long, dusty day, arriving at a communal well is a moment of ritual and connection. Herders dip their hands into the cool water, washing their faces and sipping with a reverence that speaks volumes. The camels are tended to with equal care. They are watered and fed, their legendary patience having been tested alongside that of their human companions. Every single act, from tying ropes and adjusting saddles to checking the animal's hooves, is performed in a state of natural harmony. It's a dance of survival, perfected over countless generations. Apprenticeship in this world is never hurried. It is a slow, organic process. Young herders observe, memorize, and imitate for years before they are trusted to attempt critical tasks independently. Every mistake is a lesson, not a failure. Every small success is a quiet, personal triumph. The desert does not forgive recklessness, and the elders know that the very survival of their knowledge, their culture, depends on patience, repetition, and immense care. It is through this timeless method that the essential skills of the Nubian camel herder's navigation, animal husbandry, and a deep understanding of desert ecology are transmitted seamlessly from one generation to the next. By the time the sun finally dips below the horizon, the desert is set ablaze in hues of amber, crimson, and violet. The herders gather once more, tending to their camels for the night, sharing what remains of their food and water, and quietly recounting the day's events. Silence dominates the scene, but it's a comforting, companionable silence, a seal on the shared experience of endurance, wisdom, and a subtle, dry humor unique to this land. The quiet brotherhood is not expressed in words, but it's visible in the way their bodies move, in concert, in the careful, gentle handling of their animals, and in the attentive way they listen to the whispers of the desert wind. In this slow, deliberate rhythm of labor and trust, the desert becomes both a classroom and a companion. Camels, humans, and the landscape itself form a perfect triad of survival and understanding. It is here, in the shared effort, the subtle teachings, and the communal endurance, that the true, beautiful essence of Nubian herding life emerges. Patience is both the lesson and the ultimate reward. Knowledge is transmitted not through loud proclamation, but through quiet observation. And unbreakable bonds are forged under the relentless sun and the cool, forgiving night. This quiet brotherhood is so much more than simple companionship. It is survival, culture, and legacy all intertwined. It is a rhythm that will continue to echo across these dunes for centuries to come, passed from hand to hand, from camel to herder, and from one generation to the next. In the background, the desert sings its soft, ancient song, carrying with it the voices of all those who came before, and all those who will follow in their footsteps. As the sun climbs relentlessly over the desert, the Nubian herder knows that every day carries the weight of risk. Camels might stumble across unseen pits or sink into hidden dunes. Water could vanish faster than expected, leaving both man and beast parched and desperate. And yet, within these trials lies a subtle honor. The herder carries not just animals, but the lifeblood of trade, the pulse of human connection, and the legacy of generations who have walked this very same sand. Death is never distant here. Scorching days give way to freezing nights. Sandstorms rise without warning, erasing trails and disorienting even the most seasoned guides. Predators lurk on the edges, testing the vigilance of a tired caravan. In this world, every decision, no matter how small, can mean life or death. A herder's skill isn't measured in feats of strength, but in patience, observation, and foresight. There is also a silent form of glory. When a caravan finally reaches its destination intact, when the animals are healthy and the wares delivered, a quiet pride settles into the bones of the herders. It isn't a pride broadcast with fanfare, but one woven into simple gestures: a tightened rein, a gentle pat on a camel's neck, the knowing nod exchanged between men who have survived together. But these moments of triumph are fragile. The desert permits no complacency. Each dawn brings a new challenge, each step a potential hazard. Isolation magnifies every sensation. The hours stretch on, punctuated only by the gentle sway of the camels or the distant cry of a hawk. The mind wanders, recalling home, family, and past journeys. Mirages play cruel tricks on the eye-shimmering water that vanishes as you approach, or the faint silhouette of a village that exists only in longing. The herder learns to differentiate the real from the imagined, to trust experience over hope, and raw instinct over wishful thinking. Yet, this constant danger is intertwined with opportunity. The herder's deep knowledge of hidden paths and secret oases makes them indispensable guides for traders crossing from Nubia into Egypt, Sudan, or the Sahel. Their skill determines the success of commerce, the survival of entire caravans, and the flow of wealth between empires and desert communities. In every successful crossing, the herder's humble life becomes a vital thread in a vast historical tapestry. Camaraderie is the herder's shield against despair. In the vast, silent emptiness, companionship is a lifeline. Even when words are few, glances, gestures, and shared experience communicate trust and vigilance. When a storm rises suddenly, hands tighten on ropes, eyes scan for hazards, and every man understands the unspoken rules of survival. Alone, one might falter, but together the caravan becomes resilient, a single living organism perfectly attuned to the desert's harsh rhythm. Sometimes, a herder faces an impossible choice: conserve water for the camels or for the people, rest in a safer shade or push onward to avoid the dangers of the coming night. Each decision carries immense weight, with consequences that echo through miles of sand. The desert teaches a profound humility. It reminds even the strongest that human life is fragile, and that wisdom, patience, observation, and care's the ultimate weapon against death. Amid these trials, the herders also find a certain poetry in motion. The way a camel shifts its weight over soft sand, the whisper of wind through sparse shrubs, the incredible colors of dusk spilling across the dunes all become markers of time and beauty. Survival and aesthetics entwine, forming a daily meditation on endurance. The desert, though harsh and indifferent, is also the canvas of their life, painting lessons in both peril and grace. Glory is fleeting, but tangible. Traders, impressed by their skill and courage, will pay well for their guidance. Respect is earned in sweat and sand. A herder's reputation can spread across entire regions, their families remembered for decades as masters of navigation, camel care, and desert wisdom. In this way, even the simplest acts, tying a rope correctly, leading a camel through a difficult pass, contribute to an enduring legacy. Yet, with every success comes the memory of those who did not survive. Lost camels, men overcome by thirst, travelers claimed by sudden storms, they all leave an invisible mark on the caravan. Their absence teaches vigilance and reverence. The desert is both a test and a tomb, rewarding skill but sparing no one from its impartial judgment. These lessons become stories, quietly passed from elder to apprentice, forming an oral history etched into the very rhythm of daily life. Nightfall brings a fragile reprieve. Fires are lit, and shadows dance on the sand dunes as stories are exchanged, tales of daring crossings, of mirages that deceived even the cleverest herder, of storms that tested the limits of courage. Lessons are recounted softly. Warnings are passed to those who will carry on the work tomorrow. In these quiet hours, the line between danger and accomplishment blurs, leaving only the enduring bond of shared experience and survival. The desert teaches that life is precarious, that every single day is earned, and that resilience is as essential as water. The herder learns to honor the animals, the land, and the knowledge passed down through generations. Each dawn, each journey, is a delicate balance between peril and purpose, a rhythm that mirrors the slow, measured heartbeat of the desert itself. By the time the moon rises fully, casting silver over the dunes and oasis alike, the caravan rests. The camels kneel, heads lowered, and the herders breathe slowly, their bodies weary but their spirits intact. Each step, each moment of vigilance, each small triumph over the desert's perils, becomes part of a living story, a testament to endurance, patience, and the unspoken nobility of those who thrive where others would falter. In this world of extremes, the Nubian herder finds purpose. The glory is quiet, the dangers are constant, and the lessons are eternal. Survival, skill, and a subtle honor intertwine, forming the invisible threads that connect the past to the present. The desert does not yield its secrets easily, but for those who walk it with respect, knowledge, and patience, they leave footprints that echo far beyond the dunes themselves. In the heart of the vast Nubian desert, where sand stretches to meet the sky, the camel is far more than just a beast of burden. It is lifeblood, a living compass, and a symbol of fortune all rolled into one. For the traders, herders, and villagers who call this unforgiving landscape home, true wealth isn't just measured in gold or grain, but in the unwavering endurance of their camels. Each majestic hump carries not only cargo, but the promise of commerce and survival. Every deliberate step across the sand is a testament to the deep bond between human and animal, a partnership forged in the crucible of the desert. Breeding these incredible creatures is an art form, a tradition passed down through generations. Herder families don't leave things to chance. They carefully select animals for a combination of size, strength, and, crucially, temperament. A calm camel, while perhaps a bit slower, is a reliable partner on a long journey. In contrast, a quick-tempered one, though fast, can become a liability, a source of danger within a tightly knit caravan. Every choice is the culmination of years of patient observation. Herders know which bloodlines produce offspring with exceptional stamina, which ones have a natural resistance to disease, and which are built to carry the heavy loads of salt, slabs, dates, or vibrant textiles for days on end without water. The desert is a relentless teacher, testing patience and foresight at every single turn. The future of a family can ride on the back of a single, well-bred camel. The maintenance of these desert ships is a continuous, meticulous process. It's a daily ritual of care that ensures the herd remains strong. Hooves are trimmed to prevent soreness on the abrasive sand. Mouths are checked for any signs of discomfort, and loads are balanced with precision. An improperly distributed weight can cause sores and fatigue, jeopardizing not just the animal but the entire expedition. Illness or exhaustion in a single camel can bring a whole caravan to a standstill. Herders understand this intimately. A sick camel consumes precious, life-sustaining water without contributing to the journey's progress, threatening the very success of the trade mission. In this environment, each animal is not merely property, but a partner in survival, deserving of respect and careful tending. The desert is magnificent, but it is also unforgiving of neglect. The economic significance of camels radiates far beyond their role as simple transport. Their very presence in a village or encampment is a signal of prosperity. They are the engines of commerce, the living vehicles that connect isolated desert towns. Think of the precious goods that traverse these arid expanses. Salt, painstakingly mined from distant, sun-baked flats. Exotic spices and colorful fabrics sourced from bustling Nubian markets. And traded commodities arriving from the great civilization of Egypt to the north. All of these vital economic exchanges rely entirely on the camel's incredible endurance. Without these resilient animals, desert communities would be cut off. Isolated islands in a sea of sand, unable to participate in the wider trade networks that bring both wealth and cultural exchange. They are the threads that weave the economic fabric of the desert together. But the herder's knowledge goes far deeper than just animal husbandry. It's an encyclopedic understanding of the desert itself. They know which routes are safest, minimizing stress on their animals. They can read the dunes, identifying the ones that hide treacherous, shifting pits of soft sand. And most importantly, they hold a mental map of the hidden wells, knowing which ones will still hold water even during the driest seasons. This profound ecological wisdom determines survival. Camels aren't simply loaded up and pointed in a direction. They are read like a living map. Their behavior is observed, their needs are anticipated, and they are guided with an instinct and skill honed over a lifetime. Every day on the dunes is a masterclass in intuition, patience, and the art of careful, quiet observation. A palpable sense of pride accompanies every well-kept herd. Strong, healthy camels are a direct reflection of a family's reputation and lineage. A trader who arrives at a market with a herd of fast, healthy animals immediately commands respect and can negotiate better prices. Trust is built on this visual evidence of skill and dedication. The desert has no tolerance for negligence. Even one weak or poorly cared for animal reflects poorly on the herder's wisdom, their foresight, and their commitment to their craft. Through their camels, families leave a tangible, living legacy that moves across the sands, a mark of their success that endures across generations. These herds are not just assets. They are a family's honor, embodied in flesh and bone. Beyond their practical and economic value, camels hold a powerful symbolic significance in Nubian culture. Their legendary resilience is a mirror for the endurance expected of the herders and traders themselves. To survive in the desert, one must be like the camel, patient, strong, and capable of weathering any storm. They are vessels of wealth, the carriers of important messages between distant communities, and clear markers of social status. A nobleman might display his rank with a camel adorned in an ornate, decorative bridle and a brightly woven saddlecloth. In contrast, a seasoned merchant, ever the pragmatist, will prize raw stamina and strength over mere appearance. These magnificent animals are simultaneously practical tools and profound emblems of identity, their story deeply and inextricably intertwined with the life, soul, and culture of the Nubian people. They are the silent, steadfast heart of the desert. Navigating the vast, unmarked deserts isn't just about the strength of your animals. It's about the knowledge you carry within. For the herders of these great caravans, the landscape is not an empty void but a living map. The stars above, the subtle ripples in the sand, and the oral histories passed down through generations are their compass and their guide. Every ridge, every dune, becomes a landmark, a reference point memorized and etched into the collective memory of the community. Navigation here is a profound art form, a delicate dance that blends keen observation with deep-seated instinct, vivid imagination with time-honored memory. It's a skill that turns a seemingly featureless expanse into a network of invisible pathways. When darkness blankets the desert, the sky transforms into a celestial roadmap. The constellations are not just beautiful patterns of light, but practical signposts. A herder tracing the familiar shape of Orion or the clustered glitter of the Pleiades knows exactly which direction leads to a hidden waterhole or the safest passage through a treacherous sand ridge. The very shadows cast by the moonlight and the shifting patterns of the wind whisper secrets about the terrain ahead, revealing subtle shifts that could mean the difference between safety and peril. This isn't knowledge you can learn from a book. It's a slow, immersive education. Young apprentices absorb these skills gradually, their eyes and ears trained by elders who have survived countless crossings, their minds filled with stories of journeys past. They learn to listen to the desert's quiet language, spoken in starlight and wind. The allure of long-distance travel is always shadowed by its inherent dangers. The desert is a master of illusion and a formidable adversary. The shimmering heat can conjure a mirage, a cruel trick of the light promising water where there is none, leading the desperate and exhausted astray. The relentless sun saps energy, and a sudden, violent sandstorm can erupt without warning, blinding the travelers and erasing every familiar landmark in a whirlwind of grit and chaos. Even the most experienced navigator can become disoriented. The caravan leaders must be masters of calculation, constantly assessing how far their animals can push on without water, which resting spots are truly safe from predators or flash floods, and when the crucial moment to halt and recover has arrived. The profound isolation of the desert magnifies every single risk. A single misstep, one wrong turn, could strand the entire group days away from any hope of help, pushing their resilience, their courage, and their trust in one another to the absolute limit. It's a constant test of judgment and fortitude. Yet, for every risk, there is a reward. and the desert's greatest treasures are often hidden. The knowledge of secret oases and concealed wells is the caravan's lifeline, a sacred trust passed down through generations. These are the secrets that balance the scales against the harshness of the environment. The herders carry the desert's invisible roads, not on paper, but in their minds. These oral maps, marked in memory rather than ink, are what guide them safely from one point to the next. They know which paths are guarded by nature's challenges, demanding respect and caution, and which offer a gentler passage. In this way, the desert becomes more than just a landscape to be crossed. It becomes a teacher. It is exacting and often unforgiving, but it is also profoundly generous to those who learn to read its signs and respect its ancient rhythms. These routes are more than just paths of survival. They are arteries of commerce and culture, linking distant communities that would otherwise remain isolated. A herder's navigational skill is paramount. It ensures that the caravan, laden with goods and stories, reaches bustling markets intact. Their merchants and artisans depend on these incredible journeys for their sustenance and their profit. Each route is a tapestry, woven with stories of violent storms survived against all odds, of fascinating traders met at a crossroads, of hard-won lessons that shape a traveler's character. The camels, the herders, and the stars all converge in this intricate network, a dynamic system that supports not just trade, but the very fabric of culture and the enduring spirit of human endurance in one of the world's most challenging environments. The lessons learned in the heart of the desert extend far beyond mere survival. They cultivate virtues that are essential for a well-lived life anywhere in the world. They teach meticulous planning, the power of patience, and the quiet, profound joy that comes from simply observing the world around you. Young herders, shadowing their elders, learn to read the most subtle of signs. A single tuft of hardy grass might indicate underground moisture. The specific shape of a dune can reveal the prevailing wind direction. Even the flight of a bird can be a clue, a message from the environment. They learn to translate these cues from nature into practical guidance. Navigation becomes more than just finding a direction on a compass. It evolves into a rhythm, an intuition, a continuous and respectful dialogue with the environment. It is about being in tune with the world, not just passing through it. This deep connection is what separates the true desert navigator from a mere traveler. It's an understanding that the sand, the sky, and the self are all part of one interconnected system. The herder learns to trust their gut feelings, honed by years of experience and the wisdom of their ancestors. This instinct is often what saves them when logic and visible signs fail. They feel the subtle changes in air pressure before a storm. They sense the presence of water long before they see it. It's a form of knowledge that science is only beginning to understand. A powerful intuition that arises from a lifetime of paying attention. This dialogue with the desert is not one-sided. As the herder learns to read the land, in turn, shapes the herder, instilling a sense of humility, a deep respect for the forces of nature, and an unshakable inner peace. Think of the patience required. A journey can take weeks, even months. Days are spent in a slow, meditative rhythm, the soft padding of camel feet on sand, the gentle sway of the ride, the vast, unchanging horizon. This environment forces a shift in one's perception of time. The frantic pace of settled life fades away, replaced by the natural cycles of sunrise, sunset, and the slow march of the stars. In this quiet, a person has time to think, to reflect, to simply be. This patience isn't a passive waiting. It's an active state of awareness, of being fully present in the moment. It's the patience to wait for the heat of the day to pass, the patience to let the animals graze and recover, the patience to know that the destination will be reached, not by rushing, but by moving in harmony with the world around them. And in this harmony there is joy. It's not the loud, boisterous joy of a city festival, but something deeper and more serene. It's the joy of seeing the first stars appear in a crystal clear night sky, undimmed by artificial lights. It's the joy of finding a hidden well after days of travel, the cool water a blessing for both man and beast. It's the joy of sharing stories and laughter around a campfire, the flames pushing back the immense darkness and forging bonds of community. It's the quiet satisfaction of looking back at the tracks stretching across the dunes, a visible testament to the journey accomplished, a line drawn across the canvas of the world. This is the inner world of the caravan, a world built on knowledge, resilience, and a profound, intuitive connection to the earth. This tradition of navigation is a living legacy, a testament to human ingenuity and our capacity to adapt and thrive in even the most extreme conditions. It is a reminder that the most important maps are not always the ones we can hold in our hands, but the ones we carry in our hearts and minds. It's a story of survival, yes, but it's also a story of wisdom, of community, and of finding our way by looking up at the stars and listening to the whispers of the wind. Camels are so much more than desert ships. They are the threads that weave the very fabric of Nubian society. Far from being mere beasts of burden, they are the vital link connecting towns, remote villages, and bustling trading posts. Imagine a world where the arrival of a caravan is the most anticipated event. These caravans, led by skilled herders, don't just carry cargo, they carry life itself. They deliver essential supplies like food that nourishes families and cloth that clothes them. But their load is heavier and more precious than that. They transport knowledge, passing down traditions and news from one settlement to another. With every exchange of goods, a deeper exchange takes place, one of culture, stories, and even alliances. Camels, in this sense, aren't just passing through the landscape. They are central to the social, economic, and cultural heart of the Nubian world. The men who lead these caravans, the camel herders, are figures of immense respect and admiration within their communities. Their role is far from simple. It demands a unique combination of expertise, incredible endurance, and unwavering discretion. They must know the desert's moods, the camel's needs, and the intricacies of trade. A single successful journey can bring not only material rewards, but also a significant boost in social recognition. A herder's reputation is built over years, sometimes even decades, of reliable and successful crossings. This hard-earned prestige can elevate their entire family, marking them as custodians of commerce and survival. They become the trusted guardians of the trade routes, their names whispered with reverence in the markets and homes they supply. Their wisdom is sought, and their judgment is trusted, making them indispensable pillars of their society. Trade in this context is layered with symbolism. It's not just a transaction, it's a statement. A camel, especially a strong and healthy one, is a potent symbol of wealth, status, and connection. Owning a herd of well-maintained animals signals prosperity and a deep understanding of the desert's economy. The caravans they lead bring more than just goods. They carry the lifeblood of entire communities. They are the pulse of local economies, ensuring the continuous flow of resources and information across vast, arid expanses. The families who master the art of the camel trade wield a unique and subtle influence. They don't need to dominate commerce overtly. Their power lies in their ability to facilitate it, to shape the flow of goods and wealth. and to maintain the delicate networks that hold their world together. Their influence is felt in the hum of the marketplace and the well-being of the villages they serve. Yet, for all the success and prestige, every single journey is a profound lesson in humility. The desert is a powerful and unforgiving teacher. A herder is always aware of the fragility of their enterprise. One unexpected sandstorm, a sudden illness spreading through the herd, or a single misstep on a treacherous path can undo weeks or even months of painstaking work. This constant dance with uncertainty instills a deep sense of humility in the herders. They learn to respect the power of nature and to never take a safe arrival for granted. Because of this, every successful crossing becomes a quiet celebration. It's not a loud, boisterous affair, but a moment of deep gratitude, a personal acknowledgement that life's richness is earned through constant care, immense patience, and profound respect for both the animals they guide and the land they traverse. Through this intricate dance of commerce and survival, Nubian herders leave an enduring, though often invisible, mark on their world. The vibrant markets that spring to life in towns and oases thrive because of the goods these caravans deliver. Families rise in social status and influence, their prosperity directly tied to their success in the camel trade. Ancient knowledge, traditions, and stories survive, passed down not through written texts, but through the meticulous records kept in the memory of the herders, etched in the countless footsteps they leave in the sand, and understood through the subtle behavior of their camels. These herders are, in essence, the unseen backbone of the entire regional economy. They are the silent architects of prosperity, the keepers of culture, and the masters of a way of life that has sustained their people for generations. As these long journeys draw to a close, and the herders rest under the vast, starlit sky, the desert whispers its timeless lessons. It teaches that survival is not merely about endurance, but about skill, knowledge, and intuition. It reveals that true wealth is not measured in gold or coins, but in the trust built between people and the bonds forged between a herder and their animals. Most importantly, it shows that life, even in its most challenging and austere forms, holds a unique and profound beauty for those who take the time to learn its language and see its patterns. The camel, the herder, and the desert exist in a perfect, symbiotic balance, a magnificent symphony of survival, trade, and a quiet, unassuming glory that continues to resonate across the sands of time. In the sweeping expanse of the Nubian desert, every single grain of sand tells a story. Here, survival isn't just about endurance, it's about observation. Herders learn to read the most subtle signs, the gentle shift of a dune, the whisper of wind rustling through dry grass, the faint, almost invisible tracks left by creatures of the night. These are not just details, they are the language of the desert, and understanding them dictates the survival of both the herders and their precious camels. From a very young age, apprentices are initiated into this ancient lore. The elders often say, "Watch the tracks, not just the animals." This is profound wisdom. A hoofprint can reveal more than you'd think. The slight drag might indicate fatigue, telling a herder it's time to rest the herd. A paw print nearby warns of predators lurking just out of sight. Even a scattered stone can signal an unstable ridge ahead, a potential danger to be avoided. Every observation, no matter how small, becomes a vital lesson in patience and foresight. It's a continuous, silent conversation with the land itself, a dialogue that has been passed down for centuries. Camel handling is a delicate balance of art and instinct. It's a craft refined over generations, a set of ancient techniques passed orally from mentor to apprentice. These aren't skills you can learn from a book. They are taught through demonstration, through shared experience under the vast desert sky. They teach how to calm a restless camel with a gentle touch or a soft word, how to balance heavy loads perfectly to prevent injury to the animal, and how to guide the entire herd efficiently across miles of unmarked, shifting terrain. These methods are never written down. They live in the hands, in the gestures, in the subtle commands, understood only by those who have spent a lifetime under the desert sun. It's a knowledge that is felt, not just learned. One of the most sacred skills, of course, is finding water. In a land defined by its scarcity, this knowledge is paramount. Herders carry a mental map, a legacy of generations, marking the locations of hidden wells, seasonal ponds, and even the faintest signs of underground moisture. They read the sand and rock as a language. A slight shift in the color of a distant hill might signal water deep beneath the surface. The presence of a certain plant, one that seems out of place, often indicates a nearby spring. The camels themselves are partners in this quest. Their instincts are incredibly sharp, and they can sense water from miles away. Their heightened awareness often guiding the herders toward these life-giving sources. The desert is a relentless teacher, constantly testing the herders' powers of observation. A sudden, violent windstorm can erase all tracks in minutes, wiping the slate clean and leaving the herder to rely on memory and instinct alone. The scorching sun can play tricks on the eyes, creating mirages and disorienting the entire herd. In these moments, the herder's mind must remain a fortress of calm and alertness, balancing careful, meticulous planning with the ability to improvise and adapt on the fly. Mistakes out here are incredibly costly, but for those who achieve mastery, risk transforms into a rhythm, and survival becomes a form of art. Herders share their knowledge in ways that are as subtle as the landscape itself. It's not about formal lessons or classrooms. It's a story told under a canopy of brilliant stars. A quiet chant hummed while tending to the camels. A silent gesture of the hand when leading the herd through a narrow pass. Each of these moments embeds centuries of accumulated experience. Apprentices memorize entire sequences of actions by watching and doing. They learn how to lead camels along the treacherous crests of shifting dunes, how to ration water with precision during unexpected delays, and how to anticipate animal behavior in ways that would seem almost supernatural to an outsider. This knowledge is woven into the very fabric of their daily lives. Look at their hands, calloused and wise. Tying a camel harness isn't just a task, it's a ritual. The knots are specific, perfected over time to be secure, yet easy to release. The way sand slips through their fingers isn't just an idle gesture, it's a way of feeling the texture of the ground, of understanding its composition. The sun glinting on worn leather ropes tells a story of journeys past and journeys to come. Every object, every action is imbued with meaning and history, even where the prediction is an observational science, a skill honed over a lifetime of watching the sky and feeling the air. The specific color of the sky at dusk can foretell the next day's heat. The texture of the sand underfoot in the morning can hint at coming winds. The flight patterns of birds, seemingly random to the untrained eye, speak volumes about approaching storms or shifts in temperature. Herders interpret these signals like skilled musicians reading a complex sheet of music, adjusting their pace, their path, and their herd management to harmonize with the ever-changing symphony of nature. They don't fight the desert, they move with it. When you spend time here, you begin to see herding not as a job, but as a living dialogue, a constant, flowing conversation between humans, their animals, and the vast, powerful desert The knowledge that ensures their survival isn't encoded in texts or stored on screens. It lives in practice, in each careful step taken, each watchful glance toward the horizon, each whispered command carried on the wind. The secrets of the sand are more than just survival tactics. They are a rich tapestry of culture, tradition, and a unique form of poetry, all intertwined and inseparable. This is a testament to the human ability to adapt, to learn, and to find a profound and beautiful harmony with one of the world's most challenging environments. Herding camels isn't just a job, it's a way of life, a deep spiritual practice that weaves humans, animals, and the desert itself into a single, breathing entity. Imagine the sun setting, casting long, dancing shadows across the dunes. The air, usually so quiet, is filled with the soft, rhythmic sounds of songs and chants. These aren't just random noises. They are the language of the desert, a living tradition that guides the camels across vast, empty plains. The herder's voice becomes as much a part of the landscape as the wind and the sand, creating an invisible, unbreakable bond between them and their herd. It's a connection that goes far beyond simple commands. Every movement the herd makes is a carefully choreographed dance. There are specific chants for water stops, signaling a moment of rest and replenishment. Other chants mark the time to move on or to change direction. These aren't just orders. They are ritualized patterns, a shared language understood by both human and camel. Think of it like a living map. Some of these songs are clever mnemonic devices, helping young apprentice herders remember crucial landmarks, the location of hidden wells, or the specific behaviors of certain camels in the herd. It's like a musical GPS passed down through generations. And then there are the softer, more reverent songs invocations offered up to the spirits of the desert, asking for their blessing, for protection from sandstorms, and for a safe passage through the unforgiving terrain. What's truly remarkable is how the camels themselves respond to this rhythm. They are incredibly attuned to their human guides. The sway of a herder's step, the gentle hum of a chant, even the subtle pause in their breathing can communicate so much. A slight change in tone can signal caution. A quicker rhythm can convey urgency, and a soft, steady hum can mean all is well. It's a beautiful, intricate dance. The desert provides the stage, the herders direct the choreography, and the camels perform with a grace that comes from centuries of shared existence. It's a partnership built on intuition, survival, and a profound, unspoken understanding. This is not about dominance. It's about harmony, a mutual agreement between all elements to move as one. This spiritual connection gives the herder a much deeper understanding of their environment. It's not just about getting from point A to point B. Certain oases, for example, are considered sacred ground. Their waters are believed to carry blessings, not just hydration. So, when a herd arrives at one of these precious spots, the day's first sip of water might be accompanied by a special song of gratitude. It's a simple act, but it's a powerful acknowledgement of the life-giving gift of water in such a harsh, arid land. These practices are passed down orally from master to apprentice, embedding both practical instruction and a deep sense of reverence into every single interaction. The desert isn't just a place to cross. It's a sacred space to be respected. The life of an apprentice herder is a lesson in patience, taught through the art of repetition. Day in and day out, the tasks are largely the same: guiding the herd, finding water, checking the animals for any signs of distress, and allowing them to rest. But within this routine lies a world of subtle variation that demands constant mindfulness. An apprentice learns to read the desert by observing the direction of the wind, the position of the sun, and the smallest changes in animal behavior. They learn that a camel's ear twitch or a shift in its gait can tell a story. In turn, the camels learn to trust the cues they receive, the tone of voice, the posture, the gentle gestures of their human companions. Through this daily exchange, the human learns humility, the power of observation, and the profound responsibility of care. This intricate knowledge of herding is woven into the very fabric of the culture, extending far beyond the daily routine. Festivals and seasonal rituals are filled with references to this way of life. There are triumphant songs to celebrate the return from a long and difficult journey, energetic dances that reenact a successful desert crossing, and solemn offerings made to ancestral spirits to honor the wisdom they passed down. This fusion of practical knowledge and cultural expression ensures that nothing is lost. The understanding of the land, the behavior of the animals, and the patterns of the weather are inseparable from the music, the stories, and the rituals that surround them. They are two sides of the same coin, reinforcing each other and ensuring the continuity of their heritage. As you watch the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and deep purples, you might see the silhouettes of herders and their camels moving in a single, elegant file. Their long shadows stretch and intertwine with the ripples of the sand, and the faint sound of their chanting carries on the evening breeze. It's a timeless scene, one that has played out for countless generations. It's a moment where you can truly feel the desert's pulse. In this world, the desert itself is the ultimate teacher. The camel is a willing student, and the herder is the patient, knowing guide who facilitates the conversation between them. This way of life is a testament to how survival, culture, and spirituality can merge into a single, harmonious existence. It's a living archive of wisdom, a library of knowledge that isn't written in books, but is carried in the memory, in the rhythm of a song, and in the heart of the people. Each footstep in the sand, every hum of the wind, and every call to the herd is an echo of this ancient tradition. A beautiful and resilient legacy passed from one generation to the next, ensuring that the wisdom of the desert will never be forgotten. It is a powerful reminder that the deepest connections are often the ones that are felt rather than seen, heard in the quiet moments, and understood through shared experience. The bond between the herder and the camel is more than just a partnership. It is a reflection of a worldview where every element of nature has a voice and a spirit, and where humans are not masters of the world, but humble participants in its grand cyclical dance. This is the soul of the desert, expressed through rhythm and ritual. When we look at a camel, what do we see? A beast of burden, a ship of the desert. For the Nubian herders, the answer is far more profound. Camels are living repositories of knowledge. They carry much more than goods across the vast, arid landscapes. They carry lessons of endurance, memory, and adaptation, passed down through generations of both animal and human. An experienced camel doesn't just follow a path. It reads the world around it with an intelligence born from instinct and experience. These incredible animals respond to the most subtle cooser shift in the wind, the scent of distant rain, the texture of the sand underfoot. They have an innate ability to navigate treacherous terrain, sense underground water sources from miles away, and even signal fatigue in a way that a wise herder learns to interpret. Through years of patient observation, the herder learns to read these silent signals not just as behaviors, but as a complex language of survival. It's a partnership where the camel is both a companion and a teacher, and its body is a living map of the desert. This intimate knowledge is the cornerstone of their survival, because in the desert, adaptation is everything. The landscape is a relentless teacher, and its lessons are often harsh. The shifting seasons demand a constant recalibration of strategy. Where to graze, when to move, and how to ration water are decisions that carry the weight of life and death. A herder must be a strategist, a meteorologist, and a conservationist all at once. They must anticipate sudden, violent sandstorms that can appear on the horizon with terrifying speed, remain vigilant for predators that stalk the dunes, and endure days where the sun beats down with an almost physical force. These challenges test the limits of a herder's judgment and a camel's resilience. It is in this crucible of hardship that their bond is forged. Together, they are the living embodiment of centuries of trial and error, of keen observation and brilliant innovation. Every successful journey is a victory for this shared intelligence. But how is this critical knowledge preserved? It's not written in books or stored in archives. It lives in the most powerful and enduring medium of all, oral tradition. The desert's wisdom is woven into stories told around the flickering light of a campfire. Stories of perilous crossings where a single wrong turn could have meant disaster. Tales of clever solutions to unexpected problems. And legends about the behavior of great herd leaders are told and retold, night after night. Each retelling polishes the knowledge, sharpens the details, and ingrains the lessons into the minds of the next generation of herders. These are not mere fables, they are practical manuals for survival, rich with nuance and detail that written records could never capture. You can't learn how to read a camel's mood from a page. You can't understand the feel of stable ground versus a treacherous sand drift from a diagram. The desert demands direct, lived experience, and this knowledge is remembered in the muscle, the eye, and the voice. This deep connection between herder and herd extends beyond mere survival. It's intricately woven into the very fabric of their social identity. In Nubian communities, herding isn't just a job. It's a legacy. Certain families become known for their exceptional skill, their ability to raise strong, intelligent camels, and their knack for navigating the most difficult routes. This reputation is a form of currency, passed down alongside valuable trade connections and secret waterhole locations. The apprenticeship of a young herder is therefore both vocational and social. As they learn the practical skills of managing a herd, they are also absorbing the community's norms, its values, and the unbreakable bonds of trust that hold their society together. Through these traditions, environmental knowledge, economic necessity, and cultural heritage become inseparable. To be a great herder is to be a respected member of the community, a guardian of its history, and a steward of its future. The camel is not just livestock, it is the link that binds them to their ancestors, their land, and each other. The desert landscape itself is the ultimate shaper of this resilience. It is an environment of extremes, where resources are scarce and mistakes are costly. Herders learn its rhythms with an intimacy that few of us can comprehend. They learn to anticipate how sand drifts will shift with the seasonal winds, how to conserve their own energy during the blistering heat of the day, and how to make every single drop of water last. This constant negotiation with the environment shapes their every action, and in this process, the camels and humans adjust to one another, finding a shared rhythm. They move as one entity through a world that tolerates no hesitation, no discord. A herder knows his camel's pace, and the camel knows its herder's touch and voice. This profound codependence is the very essence of survival in the Sahara. It's a silent, moving contract encoded in gestures, in melodic chants used to calm the animals, and in the thousands of practiced, everyday routines that make life in the desert possible. This is not a relationship of domination, but one of deep mutual respect and understanding. So, as we see the silhouette of a herding group against the vast, empty canvas of the desert at dawn, the mystery of their survival begins to resolve. It's not just about finding grass and water. It's a symphony, a complex and beautiful composition where culture, ecology, and spirituality play in perfect harmony. The knowledge they possess isn't abstract, it's tangible. It lives in the calloused hands that check the quality of water at a hidden oasis, in the songs that echo across the dunes, and in the quiet wisdom of the animals themselves. This knowledge is carried forward, not through force, but through careful teaching and patient, lifelong observation. Every caravan that crosses the desert is more than just a convoy of goods. It is a moving archive, a living library of survival. It's a powerful testament to human ingenuity, to the incredible endurance of the spirit, and to a profound respect for the rhythm of the desert. And it is in understanding this that we see the true majesty of the Nubian herders and their camels. As the last embers of the fire fade, let's travel deeper into the heart of the Nubian desert, where lineage meant far more than just ancestry. It was the very key to survival. Here, the oldest herding families didn't trace their roots through dusty books or family trees drawn on parchment. Their history was etched into the land itself, a living map of footpaths, watering holes, and generations of sweat and sand. Each ancestor left behind a legacy of memory, a record not of ink, but of well-bred camels whose descendants still walk these same dunes today. The desert itself seemed to recognize these ancient lineages. Elders would gather under the vast, starry sky, their voices raspy with age and wisdom, and speak of families whose camels were so magnificently trained, so attuned to their masters, that a herd could find its way home across immense, featureless distances without a single guide. Imagine that a bond so deep it defied the emptiness of the desert. They told stories of patriarchs who could read the land like a sacred text, knowing the exact shade and texture of sand that promised hidden water just beneath the surface. They spoke of matriarchs with an almost supernatural intuition, who could tell from the subtle shift in a camel-esque gait whether rain was on the distant horizon. This wasn't knowledge you could learn in a school or from a book. No, this was something far more profound. It was whispered from one generation to the next, shown through patient example and practiced relentlessly until it became a second heartbeat, an instinct as natural as breathing. As the first rays of dawn spill over the horizon, painting the dunes in hues of gold and rose, you would see them, a family, together, inspecting their camels. The warm light would touch their faces, illuminating the deep lines of experience on an elder's brow, and the eager, watchful eyes of a young herder. The elder's hand would rest on a camel's flank, not just feeling its health, but reading its story. The younger generation would stand close, absorbing every gesture, every quiet word, every nuance. This was their classroom, the vast, silent desert, their teacher. Herding in this world was never a solitary act, never a pursuit for an individual. The great families moved like a single organism, a tribe of shared thought. Every decision which route to take, which animals to trade, when to rest, was a collective one. These choices were guided by a powerful blend of accumulated wisdom and deep-seated superstition, a respect for both the known and the unknown forces of the desert. When a young herder finally came of age, they faced a rite of passage, a trial that would define their future. Their test was deceptively simple: lead a small caravan across the treacherous dunes and return. But the real challenge lay in the details. Could they return with every single camel safe and accounted for? Could they ration the precious water with perfect discipline, ensuring not a drop was wasted? Could they bring back the trade goods intact, their value undiminished? It was a test of leadership, resourcefulness, and endurance. Those who succeeded didn't just earn respect, they earned the profound honor of carrying the family's carved staff. This wasn't merely a walking stick. It was a potent symbol of leadership, a testament to their strength, and a promise to uphold the family's legacy. It signified that they were now a true guardian of their people's survival. Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine us together, the fire crackling softly, its warmth a small comfort against the cool desert night. Above us, the stars blanket the sky in a breathtaking, silent spectacle. It's in moments like this, in the quiet heart of the wilderness, that the deepest truths are shared. It's here that the elders would pass on the most sacred of their family's possessions. Many of these powerful lineages guarded secret herding songs. These weren't just simple tunes for passing the time on a long journey. They were melodic instructions, intricate sonic maps passed down through the ages. One verse might poetically describe the shape of a rock formation that marked a hidden oasis, a life-saving secret in a parched land. Another verse, with its specific rhythm and melody, would serve as a crucial reminder, telling a herder exactly when to stop walking to avoid the harshest, most dangerous heat of the midday sun. These songs were sacred heirlooms, their melodies woven into the very fabric of the family's identity. Teaching them to anyone outside the family was strictly forbidden, an unthinkable betrayal. To lose a song, to forget a verse, was to lose more than just a piece of music. It was to lose an inheritance, a vital piece of the map that ensured their survival. It was like tearing a page from the soul of their ancestors. This education began in infancy. Children learned by watching, by being present. They were not sheltered from the desert. They were immersed in it. They followed the elders out into the vast open spaces, sleeping beside the herds under the same star-filled sky. They would listen as the day's events were retold around the campfire, the stories of challenges and successes slowly transforming into invaluable lessons. They learned to read the sky, the wind, and the tracks in the sand. They learned the language of the camels, understanding their needs and their warnings. The family's accumulated knowledge wasn't just about trade or accumulating wealth. It was about something far more fundamental, keeping the delicate flame of life burning brightly in an unforgiving, often hostile land. It was a continuous, flowing stream of wisdom, ensuring that the next generation would have the tools to face the desert's trials. Over time, some of these herding clans became so renowned, their expertise so trusted, that even powerful regional rulers and sultans would seek their counsel. They became the essential mediators, the bridge between the bustling, chaotic markets of the towns and the silent, wild heart of the desert. They were the link between civilization and the endless, untamed expanse. Their deep understanding of the land and its rhythms made them indispensable. In this society, to own many camels was certainly one kind of power. It represented wealth, status, and mobility. But there was a greater power, a deeper strength that was far more respected. It was the knowledge of how to keep those camels, and by extension, their people, alive through decades of drought, through sandstorms, and through all the unpredictable hardships the desert could throw at them. That was true power, the power of endurance, the power of knowledge, the power of life itself. When we think of wealth, we often picture glittering gold or heavy chests of silver, but in the vast, sun-drenched landscapes of Nubia, wealth looked very different. It walked on 4 long legs, had a patient, sometimes stubborn face, and carried the hopes of an entire society on its back. Yes, in the desert, camels were the true measure of prosperity, and the men and women who mastered these incredible animals became the quiet, uncrowned aristocrats of the sand. These weren't kings living in stone palaces. Their kingdoms were the shifting dunes and the star-filled nights. The great herding families held unparalleled influence. They weren't just camel owners. They were the architects of desert commerce. They controlled the vital trade routes that stitched together distant oases, bustling border towns, and far-flung empires. Entire caravans, laden with precious goods, depended on their knowledge and expertise. The markets, filled with the scents of spices and the chatter of a dozen languages, relied on their steadfast reliability. Imagine the scene. A noble herder, his face weathered by the sun and wind, stands calmly as he counts his camels. The animals shift, their bells clinking softly in the dry air. Nearby, merchants from distant lands wait patiently under the shade of a makeshift tent. Their expressions a mix of respect and anticipation. Behind them, the desert stretches to an infinite, shimmering horizon. In this world, the herder's count is more important than any banker's ledger. Each successful journey he orchestrated, each caravan brought safely to its destination, added not just to his family's wealth, but to their prestige. The more successful the crossings, the higher their reputation soared, echoing from one end of the desert to the other. The desert, you see, had its own form of nobility. It was a status earned not through birthright or conquest, but through something far more valuable: trust. To control a large, healthy herd of camels was to command an entire economy. Think about the goods that flowed through the ancient world. Salt, essential for life. Sweet, nourishing dates. Durable hides, and exotic ivory. All these commodities passed through the hands of the herding elite. They were the gatekeepers, the facilitators. Even powerful foreign merchants, accustomed to giving orders, would defer to the judgment of these desert masters. The herding elites were living maps, their minds holding the secrets of hidden wells and safe passages. They were the custodians of routes that no one else could traverse without their explicit permission or expert guidance. To defy them was to risk being swallowed by the unforgiving wilderness. But with this great prestige came an equally great burden. Power in the desert was as fragile as a desert flower. Every drought was a severe test of a family's leadership and the loyalty of their allies. Every famine stirred the dangerous embers of envy and desperation among those with less. The great families had to perform a constant, delicate balancing act. They had to be strategic, protecting their own herds from collapse, yet also be generous, knowing that their survival was tied to the well-being of the entire community. During the lean years, they would feed their neighbors, sharing their precious resources. The greatest leaders weren't the ones who hoarded their wealth, locking it away. No, the most respected were those who extended a helping hand in times of crisis. They would dispatch their sons with spare camels to rescue stranded traders caught in a sandstorm, or to guide a lost caravan through perilous, shifting winds. Their authority was built on a foundation of communal responsibility. Let's just pause here for a moment. Imagine us sitting around a crackling fire, the flames dancing and casting long shadows. The only other sound is the low hum of the wind as it whispers against the dunes, carrying tales of ages past. It's in this quiet, reflective space that we can truly understand the depth of this culture. In this society, camels were so much more than mere transport or beasts of burden. They were the social currency that bound people together. A marriage wasn't just a union of two people. It was often an alliance between families, cemented by the exchange of camels from their herds. A prized bull camel, strong and proven, was the ultimate gift, capable of sealing a political alliance or ending a long-standing feud. The herding elite masterfully used these customs to weave a quiet, intricate web of kinship and obligation. This network of influence stretched across different tribes and trade networks, creating a stable and interconnected desert society. Their power wasn't loud or flashy. It was a subtle, pervasive influence built on relationships and mutual respect. Even their appearance spoke of a quiet, earned dignity. You wouldn't see them in shimmering silks or heavy gold. Instead, they wore practical, sand-colored robes woven from coarse, durable fibers. Their leather belts might be adorned with simple silver charms, not for show, but for protection and luck. They carried talismans, etched with ancient symbols passed down through generations, believed to ward off danger and guide their way. When one of these herding elites appeared at a bustling market, their very presence commanded attention. It was an unspoken authority, the kind that needed no crown, no scepter, no throne to command the deepest respect from everyone present. Their wealth was as fluid and dynamic as the desert itself. It moved with the horizon, never stationary, never confined to a single place. Their power was fundamentally built on movement, on a deep, instinctual understanding that in the desert, stillness is a slow invitation to death. Life was about the journey, the constant flow, the adaptation to the ever-changing landscape. Think of it, a magnificent caravan of these noble herders moving gracefully through wind-blown dunes. Their long shadows stretch behind them as the sun sets, creating an image of ancient, timeless authority. It's a scene that has played out for centuries, a testament to their enduring legacy. These desert aristocrats saw themselves as more than just wealthy herders or savvy merchants. They perceived their role as something far more profound. They were the guardians of balance. They had to balance the demands of commerce with the sanctity of tradition. They had to maintain the delicate relationship between man and beast, ensuring the camels were cared for and respected, and they had to navigate the fine line between need and greed, ensuring that the pursuit of profit never overshadowed the community's well-being. In essence, they were both merchants and mystics, blending hard-nosed practicality with a deep, spiritual reverence for the desert and its creatures. They understood the rhythms of the sand and the stars, and in doing so, they not only survived but thrived, building a civilization as resilient and majestic as the desert itself. Time moves differently in the desert. It's a place where what is forgotten elsewhere lingers, carried by the wind, sung in ancient stories, and preserved in living memory. The names of the great herding families, the masters of the camel caravans, still echo in Nubian songs. You can hear it in the melodies sung around evening fires, and you can see it in the quiet, dignified pride of those who trace their lineage back to these desert navigators. The oral histories remember them, not just as traders moving goods across impossible landscapes, but as custodians of a culture forged in sand and sun. They were the keepers of knowledge, the living maps of the wilderness. Around the crackling fires, storytellers still recount the legends of these families. They tell of how one clan discovered a long-lost well, saving a desperate caravan from starvation. They share tales of another family brokering peace between rival tribes, not with weapons, but with the simple, profound promise of shared water, the most precious currency in this arid kingdom. These weren't just men leading animals. They were community leaders, diplomats, and survival experts rolled into one. Their wealth wasn't measured merely in the number of camels they owned, but in the number of lives they saved, the routes they pioneered, and the traditions they upheld. They understood the desert's harsh language, the subtle shift in the wind's direction, the faint scent of distant rain, the texture of the sand underfoot. This knowledge was their inheritance, passed down through generations, a treasure more valuable than any cargo their camels carried. Even today, if you travel to the scattered villages nestled near the old caravan routes, you'll find descendants of these legendary lineages. Their ways are simpler now, their herds smaller, their routes much shorter. But the spirit, that indomitable spirit of the desert, remains unbroken. Children still gather to learn the songs of direction, ancient melodies that map the stars and landmarks. Elders still test the young herders with a time-honored challenge. They hand a boy a rope, point toward the vast, shimmering horizon, and say, "Find your way. The desert will show you if you only learn to listen." It's a powerful testament to a way of life that refuses to be forgotten. It's a connection to the past that is not written in books, but is lived, breathed, and felt in the very air. The desert's silence is not empty. It's filled with the echoes of these lessons, the whispers of ancestors guiding their children home. Let's just pause here for a moment. Listen. The fire crackles softly beside us, and somewhere far off, a camel grumbles, a low, guttural sound against the sigh of the night wind. It's in these quiet moments that you can almost feel the presence of those who came before, their watchful eyes still scanning the horizon. The legacy of these elite herding families extends far beyond commerce and survival. Their oral traditions deeply influenced the art, music, and philosophy of Nubian society. Their long, patient journeys across the sands became the rhythm of poetry. The melodies they sang to soothe their camels at night evolved into folk songs that still move the soul. Their hard-won wisdom was distilled into local proverbs that guide people to this day. There's an old saying, "A man without a camel is like a drum without a rhythm." This isn't just about owning an animal. It's a profound metaphor for purpose, for endurance, for having a steady, reliable beat to your life. The very notion of discipline, of unshakable patience, of a quiet inner strength that defines much of Nubian character. So much of this owes its origins to the herders who tamed both the powerful beasts of the desert and the furious tempests of nature. They learned that you cannot fight the desert. You must move with it. You cannot rush the journey. You must respect its pace. This philosophy, born from necessity, became a cornerstone of their culture. It taught that true strength wasn't about loud commands or brute force, but about silent observation, deep understanding, and the endurance to simply keep going, one step at a time, until the destination is reached. This is the herder's wisdom, a legacy etched not on stone, but on the hearts of the people. But legacies, like the desert dunes themselves, are ever shifting. The world changed. The hum of engines began to replace the soft padding of camel feet. As modern roads and highways cut across the ancient landscape, the great caravan routes started to fade. Trucks could carry more goods, faster and cheaper than the camel trains ever could. The demand for the herders' unique skills dwindled. The old families, once the undisputed masters of trade and transport, faced a slow, inevitable decline. The great herds were broken up. The bustling markets where they once traded grew quiet. The next generation looked not to the horizon for their future, but to the cities, to new professions, to a different way of life. The rhythmic, swaying gait of the camel caravans was replaced by the rumble of tires on asphalt. It was the end of an era, a profound and melancholic shift in the story of the desert. Yet, even as their economic power faded, something essential endured. The pride of those herders remains a quiet, unyielding dignity. It's no longer measured in the number of animals they command, but in the deep, unshakable knowledge that their ancestors achieved the impossible. They mastered the great, empty quarter when few dared to even enter it. They didn't just cross the desert. They made it their home, their kingdom, and so their memory lives on. Each grain of sand that swirls along those ancient, half-forgotten paths seems to carry a piece of their story. The footprints of the camels and their masters may have been swept away by centuries of wind, but the rhythm, that slow, enduring rhythm of survival, of patience, of life itself, still hums just beneath the surface, waiting for those who know how to listen. By the end of this journey, our story returns to its beginning, to the desert, as both a harsh teacher and a faithful witness. The elite herding families may have vanished from the world's trade records and history books. Their names may no longer be known in the bustling ports and global markets. But here, in the quiet, rhythmic heartbeat of Nubia's sands, their legacy is eternal. It is woven into the very fabric of this land. Their patience, honed over countless days under a relentless sun, became a form of profound wisdom. Their arduous journeys, filled with peril and discovery, became the epic stories that inspire new generations. And their magnificent herds, the source of their power and their pride, became history. Let's pause one more time. The fire has died low, casting long, dancing shadows. The embers glow like a constellation of fading stars. But the smoke, a thin grey ribbon, still curls upward, whispering through the cool night air. It's like a soft, final remembrance of those who once ruled these dunes. They ruled not with swords or with crowns, but with something far more powerful, with song, with skill, and with a silent, unbreakable endurance. Their kingdom was the sand, their throne was a saddle, and their legacy is the wind itself. The desert breathes slower now. The winds, once fierce, have softened to a sigh that drifts over sleeping dunes. The fire is nothing but embers, and in that dim glow, the shadows of camels stretch like spirits returning to the horizon. The night carries no rush, heavenly memory. The herders have tied their ropes, folded their blankets, and left small offerings of water for tomorrow's dawn. In this hush, even the stars seem to listen. They have watched countless caravans rise and fade, countless footsteps sink into sand, countless dreams carried forward by faith alone. For generations, Nubian herders have lived by three truths: that the desert gives, the desert takes, and the desert remembers. They knew that strength was not in conquering the land, but in understanding its moods. To live here was to dance with thirst, to read the sky as scripture, to trust an animal's instinct more than one's own. Every path taken across the desert was both a journey and a prayer. The herders whispered to their camels, not as masters but as companions, to living beings bound by need and trust. Each hoofprint marked a decision, a risk, a quiet promise that life could endure even where the world seemed empty. And when dawn broke painting the dunes, gold, the herders moved again, never looking back. They knew the sands would swallow their footprints by noon, and yet they walked. Because, in the desert, meaning isn't found in permanence, but in persistence. The desert's lessons are eternal. It teaches patience that nothing worth knowing comes quickly. It teaches humility that no traveler is greater than the road itself. And it teaches memory that every step leaves a story, even if the world forgets the name of the one who walked it. In the whispers of elders, the herders live on. Their songs echo at night when the wind catches the right pitch. Their wisdom lingers in the calloused hands of those who still mend ropes and count stars before setting out at dawn. Even in modern times, when trucks rumble where caravans once crept, a quiet respect remains for the people who once read the world through sand, sky, and silence. The hoofprints fade, but the spirit remains. It remains in the rhythm of Nubian speech, in the endurance of desert dwellers, in the calm dignity of those who understand that survival can be sacred. The herder's patience lives on in the artists who carve, the mothers who teach, the elders who remind us that every hardship carries its own hidden beauty. And so, as the story settles into its final silence, we return to the fire now, just a faint red glow on the sand. The herder sits, eyes half closed, listening to the night. He has nothing left to prove, nowhere left to rush. For him, the world is whole, and the journey, though endless, is complete. The desert sleeps, but its spirit hums beneath every grain of sand. Each wind gust carries an old name. Each star watches over a forgotten path. And each quiet night like this one reminds us that history is not always written in stone. Sometimes it is written in footsteps, erased by dawn, yet felt forever in the soul. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales from under the baobab. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, travel well. You are now under baobab skies.